All right, welcome to UPR FIGHT TALK podcast. It's actually not the first one. This is the second episode technically, but we're gonna count this as the first episode because the first one, unfortunately, didn't work out. We had some issues. Anyways, my name is Antoine Pinto, and joining me today is...
Hi guys, my name's Ali Makoni.
And Tristan Davajiva from Champion.
All right, so because Tristan is here today, I wanna right away go back and talking about Tananchai, his victory the past Saturday in RWS.
Deadly.
Right?
Yeah, we came back from Japan, right? And we saw what we needed to work on. And Gabriel was tall. It would be hard to clinch someone taller than you. So we started working on his boxing and his striking a bit more, his boxing and the low kick and the middle kick, and maybe the high kick, but Gabriel was a bit tall, so we didn't use that. But we worked on his boxing really well, and he executed really well this Saturday, and it was amazing to see that everything was come back together, and he got his confidence back from that loss in Japan, which was kind of a robbery to me, but it's whatever. What's done's done, and then we're back here now in RWS.
Right. He's been, to be honest, he's been criticized in the past for being
timid.
Yeah. And now it seems like we have a new kid in town. He's like so aggressive. I was like, holy, what happened to him?
Yeah. Just a change in mindset, It's his time now. I've stressed that since the Pet Maracot fight to him, that it was his time to take over, and it's done it really well. The defeating Yotvicha and then making his K1 debut. After his K1 debut, he was pretty heartbroken after his loss, so I think he didn't like to do a film study. Now we do film study together. We do analysis together, and now he's getting better at the little things.
Right.
And it's just more focused. That's it. And it's nice to see that he's evolving and he's growing into.
Ali, how would you rate him now
fighter.
among the 154 into Muay Thai? How would you rate Tananchai?
So the first time I met him was a few years ago. I went to Ratchanon, and he was making waves there, doing so well. And I think because I was at the gym when your dad actually bought him off of Ratchanon. And you've got to give credit to Tristan and his team, because they've really taken Tananchai or Yao from being a clinch fighter that couldn't box to save his life at all. And now he's really, but it's true, he's really developed his boxing.
That's true.
I mean, look, Muay Thai sparring with that guy, because at Ratchanon back in the day, it was in the afternoon, we spar, we hit pads, and we clinch. And you spar everybody. It's every day. And it was hard work sparring Tananchai and Satamfor as well. Like, that was not fun. But his boxing is really improving. You've got to give Tristan's team credit to that, because he can now fight so well in Muay Thai, and he's also trying to make the transition to K1 too. I'd say he's up there. I'd say he's way up there at 154. Like, he's definitely...
How would you actually rank him? Because right now, 154, let's be honest, we have the two main places with the best fighters has got to be RWS and one, right? So Muay Thai in one is with the small gloves, RWS with the big gloves. But if we would make a whole of it with big gloves, how would you rank?
I'd say he's definitely top 5. Definitely, I'd say so. I don't think one really suits his style that well. He really wants to go forward and get in the clinch. He's much better with the bigger gloves.
They break it too quickly. I think from what I see, they break it really, really quick, and just to give the chance for the other guys to throw that are non-ties.
Well, there's a question now saying that if you actually want to get into one, you need to have good hands because of the small gloves, right? Yeah. And with Tananchai's performance last Saturday, does that mean that you're getting him actually ready to move to one, or what's going on?
Not really, just improving in general. Just seeing what we can improve him to turn him to a more perfect fighter. It's not really for one or any specific person. We just want to develop. He's only 23.
Right.
The sky's the limit for him. We can develop him even more until he's more complete. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. A dream fight. What if we had Tananchai fighting Tawanchai?
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be a good fight.
Right? That would be a sick fight. That would be sick.
But the thing is, it's funny because you say that, and you guys are right, to fight in one, it does give you the advantage to have good boxing. But Tawanchai kind of bucks that trend a little bit because he's made that career out of his left body kick and his right teep. And even since he's been fighting and won for such a long time, he's still kind of maintained that style. It's tough to watch. Like Sir Kim last week, right?
Yeah.
Happy that he won. Great stadium fighter.
Yeah.
But when you watch him in one now, he's so stiff. When because he's just looking for the counter punches the whole time. He hardly body kicks anymore.
Yeah, it's so true. And it seems like, to be honest, I think a lot of fighters that transition and fight in one, they want to optimize on using their hands to get that KO bonus. But the ones that are at the top, they seems to be fighting more technical and not that aggressive. Am I wrong?
Yeah, there's more variety, let's say, in how the top high echelon in one strike and how they work their guys to get the knockout or the finish in general. Yeah.
Because they don't want everyone to just come forward and just, go swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
They want the fights to be entertaining, and it doesn't matter whether you're a clinch fighter, whether you're a female or a technical fighter, or whether you're like a Muay Mat, a boxer.
Yeah.
Like they just want the fights to be entertaining. They just want you to prove that you
But
belong in
is it true
there.
though? Because let's be honest, like 90% of the fights in one, it seems like it's a little bit of a brawl, even though we have some amazing fighters fighting in there. It's like you could be as technical as you want fighting regular Muay Thai rules, but once they enter one, it's just like, all right, now let's go, let's brawl.
But don't you think it's a breath of fresh air? Because since one Lumpini's come on the scene, we've been used to the sport dying a slow death with 5-round fights.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys both know it way more than
Hmm.
than I do, where it doesn't matter whether you're fighting the opponent, you're fighting the odds, and it was killing the sport. And since RWS and One Lumpini have come along, it's given the sport new life. There's a lot more eyes on the sport now, and there's fights for everybody really outside of the 5-round stadium Muay Thai. It's like you kind of grow your bones, get your experience on 5 rounds Muay Thai shows,
no, for sure.
like Sorsamai, Pet Yindi, Giat Pet, and then you progress onto One Lumpini or RWS.
Yeah, for sure. Tristan, what's your take on that? Because you got fighters that are fighting in both RWS and one, right?
Yeah, I got Sidicha and Rungravi in one, and then I've got a few foreigners that fight on RWS and Tanfa and Tananchai.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you like kind of pick and choose who should fight in which promotion, and what's the reason for that?
Style wise, I think Rungravi is perfect for one. He's forward pressure, low kick, punch, good boxing. He's got that deadly left straight as well. So I was really happy with him signing with one, because at 77 kilos, it's hard to find fights in Thailand. But when you go up to 177 kilos, you got Singh Samut, Regan Aso, Dimitri, Mushin. He's got all these other guys he can test himself against. So it's a perfect match for him to go internationally against one. And Sidicha has always been a kickboxing great, and he's in the probably the best kickboxing division in the world right now, I think, with all the 70 kilo guys at one, including the new signee Nori as well.
Yeah. Well, talking about Sidichai, he was the king of kickboxing for that almost 10 years.
Yeah.
But then a transition to one, he fought Muay Thai, and even though he won, he didn't look that great though.
No.
No disrespect though.
Yeah, no, it's not. I understand it. But you got to understand he's been fighting for 18 years almost, kickboxing, right? And it's his bread and butter. And then, some people say, oh, he's already Thai, transitioned back to Muay Thai. But it's hard because, you've been doing it for 18 years, and kickboxing only, and you don't get Muay Thai fights in between. So it's a bit harder. But, it looks like they're trying to get him to go back to do kickboxing, which is nice. But Muay Thai, I think it's better for him to stick to kickboxing, sticking what is better.
But what's the reason why did they have Sidichai go and fight Muay Thai? Is that because it would probably bring the eyes of the audience, like, oh, can he still fight Muay Thai? Like, what was the reason behind that?
They just gave us those fights and we just took them because don't know. They just want to experiment, I think, and then they saw maybe he's up and down in Muay Thai and then put him back in kickboxing.
Does it mean that now he's gonna go back at fighting kickboxing fully?
There's a chance that if there's a Muay Thai fight that comes along that's a good fight for him, I might take it.
Okay.
And I have to see how they match him up first, because he's an aging fighter. You can't really put him in against like a shadow or someone like a young buck coming through.
Why not though?
I don't know. Yeah, I gotta
Why
agree
not,
with him.
though?
Like, why not? Shadow versus Sidichai, old guard versus the new guard.
Or could we have another Sidichai Superbond in kickboxing?
That might be possible if we can come up the ranks in kickboxing, and that'll be another fun fight.
But that's the thing though, like Sidichai, in my eyes, kickboxing, he still belongs to like the top, even though he had, I don't want to call that counter performances in Muay Thai because it's not his sport, but like kickboxing, he still belongs to the top, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or what? Like, what's your take on that one actually?
That first round with Marat was awesome in Japan.
Yeah.
And then he pulled his quad in the middle of the second round. You can see it affected him. And then that foul knee that hit him end of the second really affected him. And then he, being Thai, you know, it's in your nature to get up straight away, right, after you get knocked down.
Yeah.
And he got up straight away, but there was injury time, but he said he was good.
Mm.
And I think that's where he messed up because he didn't use the 3 minutes they gave him. He just got up and then took the 2 minute break, then the rounds, and he came out and just got body shot and just went down. He didn't recover enough.
Right. It's that pride, isn't it? As a fighter,
it's that pride. You get back up. You're like, let's go. Like these guys, it's in their nature to get up straight away from a knockdown. Yeah. Right. To not lose points. You know it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think looking back now, you know, like how as a fighter you're always supposed to, you know, show you're fine, show you're good, and not really show any pain. There's so many fights where I felt like, man, I should have called for injuries. I was an idiot not doing that, you know. But it's just what it is.
Yeah, right? But it's like you said, you can't do it to yourself. You just want to, like, I would rather. It sounds silly, but I would rather die in there instead of, you know.
So it's like you need to have that mentality that, like you said, you'd rather die than give up. But if you have that mentality of saying like, oh, I need an injury time, then you don't really have that killer instinct, right? So you can't have one or another. You can't have both, right? You need to choose between which mentality you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunate, but he's got something coming up, and we'll have to get him back in that mindset. That was his first knockout loss of his career. Right. His whole life. So I think reset the mindset, getting back in training. And
you think there's a chance that he might be able to make it back to becoming a one world champion in kickboxing?
Well, let's say this 70 kilos division is the best in the world, right?
Right. It's always
Chinggis, Superbon, Marat, Petrosian, Tawanchai now as well. Like, I think it's anyone's day, you know? Like, on a good day, maybe Superbon will win. On a good day, maybe Marat will be a champion one day. Like, you can't tell, really.
What's your take on that?
I mean, it's a fight, I'm always going to want to see it. I'm always going to want to see Sitchai back in the mix. Yeah. I thought the last fight that Marat and Superbon had, they both looked extremely tired after round 2. Yeah.
Because they're both 30-something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, Sitchai's like in his 30s as well, isn't he? Yeah. I mean, they're getting to the. We were saying to it before the podcast. Like Sitchai's getting to the end of his career now. Really. You've got to wonder, like, now's the time where you've got to pick the right fights for him to sort of make sure he ends on a high. Yeah. You know. Yeah, I'd love to see him back in kickboxing in one, if that's really like where the best fights for him are, because he's a legend. I mean, come on, let's be honest, guys. He went into kickboxing because he ran out of opponents in Muay Thai. He ran out of
opponents in kickboxing as well. Yeah. At some point, he was defending his world title like once a year. Yeah, there was nobody to fight him.
Yeah, once a year, and it was just getting really bad. And our contract finished. Right. And we came over to one.
Was that also a bit because that was with Glory, right?
Yes.
Was that also because you were tied in with a contract with Glory and they just couldn't find find opponents?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's just the sucky part of being in contracts with these promotions, eh?
Yeah. I think it's a new thing for ties as well, like with contracts and everything. Because it's not before we didn't have it's just word of mouth before back in the day. Right. Now contracts and everything, ties are like, oh, shit, we have to wait for fights, you know.
Yeah. Right. Well, going back to last week, since we just talked about Tawanchai, we had Yotin versus Chyla as well.
That was a good fight.
That was a really good fight. I mean, you two were both there. Well,
yeah, I was commentating the fight. He was there, obviously.
Yeah, I watched it this morning. I mean, so that was the third time that they fought each other. The first time I was actually at FA Group when Yotin fought Chyla. I think it was when he fought Chyla because when Yotin fights southpaws, he has this like neutral southpaw stance where
he stands as a southpaw as well. He's a right-handed fighter.
So he uses his front kick, his right body kick, because it's the best way to fight a southpaw is go southpaw, throw it right body kick, throw it right teep, and he beat him for the Thailand title then. And then the second fight, he was beating him, but then Chyla just hit him with an elbow as he went into the clinch and knocked him down and spun the fight in his favour. But the fight of the weekend was great. It was so back and forth, razor close decision. I mean, what did you guys make of it?
I think it was correct decision.
Yeah?
Yeah, so close though, razor close. And then
was really close.
And then both guys getting their points taken away. I think that kind of played an effect into it too.
To be honest, I thought, so what I heard was that if they get a yellow card or they get a point taken away for dancing, there would be no bonus.
Yeah, me too. That's what I thought too.
So I was really confused because I was on the ring waiting to get my call. Like, do they get the bonus or not? Because didn't I remember that they don't get bonuses? So I guess luckily for Yotin, he did get the bonus.
Oh, thank God.
Right? 500K away for not fighting. That would
and that was for the last 30 seconds, wasn't it? They were literally dancing around for the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was shocked. I was backstage. I looked at it. I was like, shit.
But I mean, it was so back and forth. I mean, it was typical FEMA, so technical fighter like Chyla versus a Muay Thai clincher like Yotin. Like Chyla was really winning some of the rounds with his body kicks.
Yeah.
And then Yotin, wasn't until the fourth round when Yotin used that tactic where he switched to southpaw. But he also did really well in the clinch. It was great. I mean, I'm not sure what Yotin's plans are now for his career. I mean, he could end on the high now. Really.
What do you think about that though? The fact that nowadays it feels like we need to give bonuses to fighter in order to fight and take it away if they don't actually fight.
I mean, Rob Cox said it perfectly a while ago when we had I think it was Pampayak and Superlek, they fought on one during COVID. Yeah. And because your brother fought on that show. Yeah. It was when your brother fought Mediza too, and it was a very like relaxed fight. But they fought that way for such a long time, you know. They're used to taking the first couple of rounds easy.
Take it slow as I think normal former Muay Thai style, right?
I think
let's say traditional Muay Thai.
Right, yeah. Let's call that traditional
Muay Thai. They're too used to traditional Muay Thai.
Right.
You know, it's like what you were talking about before with Sitachai. He's been kickboxing for 18 years,
18
right?
years, yeah.
I mean, and then getting him to turn back to Muay Thai. I mean, it sounds easy, but I mean, if you haven't been throwing elbows or clinching for a long time.
That's what he struggled with, the timing on the elbows and everything too, because he's been kickboxing for so long.
Yeah. But that, like, I mean, as far as for us being into the sport, we can understand. But like from the point of view of like
fans.
A normal fight fan, like you're fighting, right? So they would expect you to like go in there and try to fight and try to, you know, hurt the other person. And the fact that you actually need to say like, look, I'm giving you an extra money to make the fight entertainment is like saying like, yeah, I'm a chef, I'm a cook a meal, but you need to pay me an extra $50 in order to cook you a good meal. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what a lot of the promotions are doing, so you've got One Lumpini and RWS, the two biggest entertainment shows in Thailand, they're just trying to breathe like more life into the sport to take the gambling aspect away from it. Obviously, we all know it's still there. Yep. We all know it's still there online. There's still people that make bets, but the gambling was really like keeping the traditional Muay Thai, if you say alive, because you know the salaries aren't the same as what they used to be, even when you were fighting, like what we were talking about earlier, like all the way back in 2010.
Oh, yeah.
They were getting way more money back then than they are now. What is it for main event at Sorsamai? I think they're on 40,000 baht?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Maybe less than that?
No, for sure.
Now?
Well, yeah, now
something
it's probably
like
less.
that,
It's probably less.
Before it was like hundreds of thousands. Before.
Right.
Now it's just
60. It's actually very interesting. I want to touch on that. But before we actually talk about that, I actually want to ask you, from Sit Songpinong, it seemed like it's always been a thing for your fighters to go out there and fight at 100%, bonus, no bonus, Muay Thai, gambling, traditional, or one, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like is it like kind of like the mindset of like the gym, we're all going to fight like that?
Our motto still is stand your ground. So we're going to stand our ground in any situation, even in life. So yeah, we make tough motherfuckers, and I'll continue making tough motherfuckers like my dad.
Yeah, no, well, but it's true, man. Because let's be honest, like the reason why for, I don't want to say non-educated, but for fans that are not used to Muay Thai, usually fighters would stop fighting towards the end to kind of, you know, save their victory and energy. But like for Sit Songpinong, it seemed like it was never really the case.
Yeah, we always grind it out. Huh?
Right.
Back in the day, I was still younger, but we always grinded it out till the fifth round. And we're still trying to do that. Tananchai was kind of like that when he first came to me, like take more 4 and 5 off. Maybe against Yobichai as well. I think he lost round 4. He took 4 off. And then we went crazy with him in the corner and said, 5, got to work for it, man. And he landed that head kick. So, yeah, it's always in the best interest of the fighter to make the fight look good as well, so you get opportunities overseas as well, you know.
Right.
So that's what we stress to them a lot about as well. Yeah.
Well, talking about going back to what you were talking about, you know, like salaries, gambling, and now it's not as important as it was, or it's not as impactful because there's less gambling than there were before. Is there though, or is there not?
I don't know. I mean, you look at the stadium. I think COVID really killed off the gamblers or the fans going to at least the ties at least going to the stadiums. So I remember going to a Petty Indy card before COVID, and it was packed. Like it wasn't. It was a lot more packed than what it is now.
Yeah.
And then you go to Raja now on, let's say you go on a Wednesday. There's only a small section. It wasn't
probably
until
like 200 people.
Well, it wasn't until Petty India and Gyatpet and Sausamai they did the non-televised shows, and that's when it was really busy. But it's never been as busy as what it was when I first came in 2010.
Not like before. Not like 10 years ago. No.
Well, what's your take on that though? Doing non-televised show. What do you think about that?
I think it's good. I think it's it's good to get people to come and watch the show, and like it brings back like that old vibe that we had like back in the day. I mean, I was only around for like a short amount of time on that before it all started going online. I mean, I guess the problem is if everyone's watching the fights online, it's so much easier to watch Muay Thai now, isn't it? It's so easy. Every promotion's got their own YouTube channel, Facebook page. It's on TV a lot more now than what it was back in the day.
Definitely.
So I mean, you can kind of understand why the purses are so low, because the promoters just aren't getting more people to come, more fans to come through the doors. And there's not as many. I guess that's going to affect sponsorships too, because that's really how they make the majority of their money.
What do you think, Tristan? What's your take on that?
I've been in business since I was a kid, so like with my dad, I'm lucky enough to be in the old Lumpini before they smashed it down, demolished it. Let's say I've always liked the atmosphere of the gambling. I like the noises and everything, but now it's more. Let's say it's more entertainment wise. Like look at Rajadamnern on Saturday. It's more foreigners than Thais now.
Yeah, it's like 90% foreigners.
And they make a gate off the foreigners, which is nice for the stadium, nice for the people running it. Like it's nice, and I enjoy maybe on a Saturday night playing Counter-Strike and having
that on the side,
the RWS on the side, everything.
Right.
But I don't have anyone else watching. It's nice like this, but it's gotta find some way to.
But do you think it's a good thing that they're trying to bring back the non-televised or non-broadcasted fights?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's a ways to get people in the stadium, butts in the stadiums, and like even foreigners come to watch right on the 27th.
Really? Well, I'm going to be honest. I completely disagree with you guys.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a massive step back for Muay Thai.
So how do you want to do it then? Pay-per-view?
Who's having benefits by having non-televised fights except from the promoter? Like that's the only person, right? Because like fighters get less exposure. Fans don't get to see the fights. Like, because let's be honest, like if you have the fights online or on TV or whatever, you get hundreds or tens of thousands of people watching it. But in the stadium, you can only fill like up to like 2,000 people anyways.
I heard that Boat paid them each 100,000 more that day because they made such a big gate.
Right. But isn't it because time is changing and yet promoters are not able to adapt to how time is? You know, I don't think I think that's a step back saying like, yo, we used to be doing it that way, so we should be doing it the same way now. Like, come on, the time has changed. They need to adapt. Like football is on TV. That doesn't mean that people are not going to the stadium to watch. That doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like I think it's just that promoters from traditional Muay Thai haven't found a way to adapt to what's going on now. You know?
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good way of
promoters
looking at it.
like Bank, like he thinks entertainment wise globally. I like that. It's I've talked to him with my father, and we like the way he thinks. That's why we put our guys on RWS, because it's a good show and it's very global right now.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, though, I do agree that it's sad to not see more Thai fans in the stadiums like we used to, like when we used to be fighting, like you know, back in the days. And I think it's still difficult to see a brighter future for Muay Thai where we'll have like filled stadium with Thai fans. But it's still being televised.
But Muay Thai, let's be frank, like Muay Thai in Thailand, it's more of a class thing, isn't it? It's more of, if you're doing Muay Thai, you don't have anything else. Like if you're a Muay Thai fighter, that's like pretty much your last resort. It's a way of you getting out of poverty. And it's more like, you know, a lot of Thais, they'll want to be, scene and wanting to do something else other than going to watch Muay Thai and stuff. Wouldn't you guys agree? Like it's
like when I was back in younger, like my it was a class thing. I went to international, but my parents are like middle class, let's say, and then some of the kids in school are high, so and they're like, "Oh, why'd you go to these Muay Thai shows? Everything, it's like a low. It doesn't matter, I feel like my family's in it. I do it. I enjoy it. I like it, and it's gonna be. I feel like it has a potential to be a global sport eventually. Yeah.
You generally believe that Muay Thai one day can become like what MMA has become, or taking one promotion, even if it's, I don't know whether it'll be one championship, RWS, or a new one to become like the UFC?
Potentially. I think, yes. Even Joe Rogan on his podcast said yes.
Right.
Like, and he said he'll commentate as well. So I like it. I like the idea. It's a beautiful sport. You get so many different styles of fighters. You get all these different guys, coming from Thailand, coming from England, like Haggerty and all these guys. Like, I think it has the potential, but just has to have the right people doing it.
How do you say as far as like entertainment wise, if you would compare like Muay Thai with MMA for viewers?
Well, I mean, I got into Muay Thai through MMA when like 14 years ago now. Yeah, 14, 15 years ago. But I mean, it's one of those things like with Muay Thai, it's a lot easier to understand than MMA because you don't know anything about the grappling. You can just watch Muay Thai and there's elbows. I mean, okay, some fans, they probably won't get the idea of the clinch after a while. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of new fans they really struggle to understand. But once you get involved in it, or once you start watching it a bit more, once you start training in it, you start
understanding.
You start to love it. You start to understand it more. No, I think it's got a lot of potential. I mean, look, Muay Thai has grown so much. Let's be honest, since these two promotions have started, it has grown so much considerably. It's really got into lots of countries. It's the growth of the sport. You see it like so much more now. More foreigners coming to Thailand
to fight and just to fight and just to watch shows as well, even on the holidays. Like,
right.
I think the sky's the limit. I really do. I think it's made like like I said earlier on, RWS and One Lumpini have really breathed a lot of new life into it, and hopefully as soon as it gets accepted as a sport for the Olympics, I think we'll see a lot more growth, and it will be like what we want it to be. We want it to be looked at as the UFC.
Well, since we're talking about MMA, how would you rate striking in MMA?
Oh, it depends on the fighter, really, doesn't it? It really depends on the fighter. I mean, you've got some fighters in MMA.
Blessed Express, baby.
Huh?
Yeah,
Max Holloway. Yeah?
No, but I mean, it's one of those things. Like as soon as you go to the ground, like you just take the striking out of it. But
no, but I mean, like they're striking, standing striking in general.
You put any of the Muay Thai fighters, your top 10 MMA fighters in the world. You put them in with the top 10 Muay Thai fighters in their weight in the world. I guarantee 9 times out of 10, or at least all the Muay Thai fighters are going to school the MMA fighters if it's
striking only.
Striking only.
Yeah, striking only.
They'll school them, man, big time. But it's a completely different sport, isn't it?
Right.
Like in MMA, you're not standing in one place. Like you've got to move laterally around your opponent. You've got to level change.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's completely different.
But doesn't it?
Look at DJ when he fought Rotang, first round Muay Thai.
Yeah.
He adjusted pretty well to Rotang, and then he finished him in the second, which is pretty cool to see. Like people say, Rotang was going to knock him out in the first round, but then he came back and just strangled him out in the second.
But isn't that because he knew he had to survive the first round?
Yeah.
Though? You know what I mean? Like if it was an actual like
Muay Thai only?
full Muay Thai rounds, would it have been like different?
Of course it would.
Yeah, of course
Rotang would have smashed him, 100%. If it
Really?
was, come on,
Yeah,
I mean,
but he did caught Rotang with a big right hand. Though.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like
I was there live.
I don't think Rotang expected that as well. I think he just went in and felt like, oh, MMA fighter, low striking. I'm just going there and smash him. I think he got surprised by that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So does that mean that the MMA striking is actually much better than what we give them credit for?
I think it just depends on the athlete as well, how well they adapt to the rule set and everything. Like Demetrius is the GOAT for me. So like he's got really high fight IQ, so I think he adjusted pretty well to the rule set.
Right.
Yeah.
But you were saying like 10 times out of 10 Muay Thai fighter would do better, but we've seen Muay Thai MMA fighters crossover, fought boxing, they still did pretty good, didn't they?
Yeah.
So is MMA striking not better than what we expect?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think like I said before, it really depends on the fighter.
Yeah.
It really does depend on the fighter. I mean, what you got? What's his name? Michael Perry, like fighting in bare knuckle now.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are going there. Really, let's be honest, guys.
Yeah.
They're going there for the money. They're not going there because they're like, oh yeah, I want to do a bit of boxing. Maybe some of them do, but they're being paid a lot more. I mean, there's lots of disputes at the moment, especially with Mark Hunt with his contract with the UFC. And this, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the problem with fighting in MMA is you've got to be a jack of all trades, really. You've got to be good at striking, grappling, and all that. And you've got to learn all these styles at once. Whereas with Muay Thai, just focus on one thing, and that's why.
That's the thing, though. Is it actually not beneficial? And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you think about it, right? We got some Muay Thai fighters, they've been training Muay Thai, just one single sport their whole life. And yet their level might be like, let's say you put their level at 90, right? But then you take an MMA fighter, he's training all kind of sports, but then it seems like their learning curve is just so much faster than athletes that are only just doing one sport. Is that because the overall like understanding their body better because they're doing different sports and the learning curve goes faster than normal athletes that just do one sport or not? Would you agree with that or not?
Yeah, potentially. Like me and Tristan both said, I think it really depends on the fighter. And I think like when you fight, when you learn one style, let's say if I was to learn like another style compared to Muay Thai, let's say I was going to learn BJJ, maybe I'd do it a little bit differently compared to how I started with Muay Thai, you know? So yeah, I think it really depends on the fighter. I think MMA is way more ahead of us in a sense with the strength and conditioning and the recovery. Yep. Because you guys, I mean, I guess is your gym doing straight S&C? Like you guys, you do it with Muscle Factory, don't you?
No, we do it ourselves now. I got a new sports scientist working with us, and I have a cert in strength and conditioning as well from Australia. So we worked that into the system, and then we put some more weights and strength and conditioning stuff at the gym, and we do it ourselves now.
You also got a boxing coach, right?
Yeah, we got a new boxing coach as well. It's good to develop hands in this area of Muay Thai as well, yeah.
Because I think with Muay Thai, the training itself, it's very much traditional. I mean, when you were fighting, did you do S&C like back when you started doing it?
I mean, for myself, I do believe that me and my team were lucky enough that because we believed that we weren't that good compared to other gyms, then we really had to try and figure out new ways to actually get better in order to reach that level. So we always try to, bring in new people, new coaches, new technique to actually do it, because the Thai ways, it's not that it wasn't good, but it's that personally, I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't keep up with like running 15 kilometers in the morning and then doing the training. Like I personally, my body couldn't keep up. So I was like, man, there's only two ways. Like it's either that I'm not made for this, I could never become a champion because I cannot keep up with what they're doing, or I need to find another way to become better because I just can't do what they're doing. So lucky enough from my side, we chose to bring in different training techniques, but that wasn't initially because we believed that would be better. It's because initially I believed that I wasn't good enough to become a good fighter.
Yeah. Okay. I think strength and conditioning plays a big role into it.
Definitely.
Even let's say nutrition as well nowadays. Like look at Nico.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that just now, just before the podcast.
Yeah, nutrition. These big guys like Joe, sometimes he's like 80 kilos and makes 72.5. It's incredible to see him do it.
Right.
Like every week I see Joe is just getting smaller and smaller. I was like, are you the same guy?
Has it been an issue for City Shy though? We were talking about City Shy before because he's always been like a very small.
No, he walks around really close to his fight weight, so he doesn't really cut. He cuts like 2-3 kilos. That's it.
But isn't that a disadvantage?
Yeah, but
I mean, is it though?
It's his body though. We try to force him to eat, put more muscle on him. It just doesn't come up. It's his type of body as well. You know, it's like he burns it so quickly. It's hard to put the pounds on him.
Right.
And it just shows how good he was, skill for skill. Even though he was smaller, he still stand and bang with guys like Marat and all these bigger guys he's faced before in his career. Yeah.
Well, going back to the gambling, we were talking about the gambling a little bit before. What's you guys' experience with gambling in Muay Thai?
I don't gamble. Maybe once Super Leg Rotang. 20,000 on Super Leg.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
good money, that one.
Yeah, I bet.
Ooh.
So the first bet I ever placed was on Tananchai.
Oh.
And but it was before he was with you.
Oh.
And he lost.
He won.
Okay.
He was 3-2, and I put 2,000 on, got 3 back, so it was great. No, it was, and then I got into it from there really. So
That one time I should have bet was Pet Maricot to Tanchai. It was 12-1 to Pet Maricot after the first round.
oh yeah,
And I was in the corner. I come back. Oh, I forgot to place the bet.
oh yeah.
Yeah, could have
Do
made
you-
so much money.
Do you believe that? So now it seems like gambling is slowly getting away from the sport. Do you believe that it's bringing gambling back into Muay Thai would be the way to grow the sport, as far as like how crazy fans would become, or in any way?
But I think it's always going to be there, because even though there's not a lot of gamblers physically in the stadium, it's still online.
Yeah, look
Absolutely.
at Western sports, like in England and stuff. They're still betting, right?
Yeah,
Horses, everything.
everything.
Yeah, everything in England.
Even fucking chess, you can bet on that.
Yeah, so I think gambling's an essential part of the sport, anyways. Like, but I think in Western countries they have a better way of doing it with all these other like companies that doing the bets and booking and everything. You know,
Right. Here is a little bit
a little bit more wild.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What's the most money you've won in gambling in Muay Thai?
I can't remember, but it was definitely like, I think I bet, I put a big bet on Yao once, and he came through. I think I can't remember, like not like life changing money, but
Yeah, but like what?
I think
I don't gamble, so that's why like it's always.
I don't know. I
interesting.
mean, well, like I'll probably like put like a little bit on. I think probably the most I've ever won, probably like 10,000, maybe 10,000.
That's a lot of money,
Yeah.
man. 10K on
Yeah,
like
but
one
I have to
fight,
be
gotcha.
but I'll be really sure that I want to place that bet. And
Right.
Yeah. So
What's the most you've lost?
probably about 2,000-3,000, something like that.
Oh,
in
that's
one
not bad.
one
Yeah.
single bet. Yeah. I mean, I'll just do it for fun. I mean, it's not like a side hustle.
Yeah, we
for
don't
me.
go crazy with it.
Yeah.
I bet once against Super Lake Rotang. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's possible to actually make a living into Muay Thai gambling now?
Oh, definitely.
If you're like a crazy nerd about the sport,
No,
you
but
really
there's
understand-
I mean, I guess if you did it online, maybe. But I mean, if you wanted to go to the stadiums and do it, good fucking luck. Because at the end of the day, you've got to. We all like.
CNY.
All the CNYs that they're.
It's like a stock exchange. Like you buy, you sell. Oh,
Yeah.
you buy this rate, you sell this rate.
But there was a guy that
That's crazy.
a week ago that got shot. Who
Oh.
placed some bets, and there's lots of shady shit that goes
Yeah.
on.
Wait, what?
In stadiums. Yeah, there was a guy that
What happened?
in the news that got shot. Like after, I can't remember where it was. I don't know where it was. It was a Thai guy. He placed 2 different bets.
Okay.
On the underdog, and I can't remember what the odds are. I've got the
Article.
news clip on the article on my phone. But whoever he placed the bet with, he didn't pay up like what he lost. So they chased after him. There's a picture of his car. And just what Thais are like with
Damn,
the news, like
yeah.
him just dead in his car. He just got shot.
Oh, they literally
They
killed him.
Yeah, did you hear about this?
Yeah, I heard about that. On the way back home, I think.
Yeah, he went on the way back home. He just because that's the thing with the gambling community in Thailand. Everybody knows each other.
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't pay up, then
But that's the thing though, for I think for different sports you go through bookmakers or a middleman, but in Thailand it's just we'll just agree on a price and on a rate and then just bet with each other.
Yep.
And because like you said, they all know each other, they all stand at the same place, they would remember.
There's no escaping it. There's no escaping it. Yeah.
I mean,
escape.
I don't know. I mean, I've never really looked into it that much for you to make a living out of it. But there's guys that do it every day.
Yeah,
I
every
mean,
day, every week. I'll buy this, buy that. Oh, I'll make enough money. That's good for me.
It's like Wacharachai Ratchanon. He's a bookie as well. Like he's
I wasn't here for that.
I got into that's who I placed my bet with for Yao when he fought. It was Yopanamron from Jitmanong. But he's at the stadiums every day, like with the phone. He gives out Song Sit, where you give out the the odds.
Yeah, the odds.
And that's to go to all of like the guys in the provinces that are watching the fight on TV. And like let's say we're watching the fights, but we want to bet with each other. We'll have the phone on the table, and the odds will be going around, and you'll be like, "Oh, you want 3-1, or you want 5-2?"
Well, yeah.
You know,
To
that's
make
the
it
way
clear
kind of works.
for the viewers. So in Muay Thai, you can literally bet live at any second. It doesn't mean that you need to place a bet just before the fight and then that's it, you can't bet anymore. So that means you can bet every single round, and within one round you can bet at different rates the whole round depending on the situation.
Yep.
Do you know how the hands signal go?
I do a little bit, but like I've only really bet in the stadiums like a couple of times.
Do you know how it goes?
I only know the achi, the injections. Like this is 40,000. Yeah. This is 400,000.
So
I forgot.
What are the injections for people that might not be used to that?
Let's say it's like you do first 2 rounds bad, 3 rounds you want to start strong. Maybe a gambler come up to you and say like, I'll give you like 40,000. Fight better and let's get this ball rolling or something.
Right.
Maybe
a funny story about that.
You fighter? How much have you got before injection?
So I was about to say that's funny because so usually when they're doing that achi injection thing, right? It's usually for the fighter that's losing and to come back, right? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? For me, I guess they thought that this kid is probably gonna give up. So when I was fighting in Lumpini, there was so many fights where I was winning and I would get a cheat not to give up. To be like, you're winning, you better fucking keep winning. Yeah. So I remember there was a time in Lumpini. I think it was but it was a long time ago. It was like 15 years ago, right?
The old one.
The old one.
Oh, that's good.
Lumpini. I got a cheat of, I think it was like 200K.
Ooh. Fucking hell.
But I was already winning the fight.
That's a lot of money back then.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, like,
as well.
Don't give up because you're winning. Don't give up. Here's an extra 200K if you win.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it wasn't even a confident boost to like come back. It was like, okay, let's not give up. I'm winning.
Did he come up to your corner or did he just do it from the stands?
So they back in the days they had like the CNMUA on top, and then they'll always have like some people ringside that would just like messengers and comment and be like,
Wow. Yeah. But like, how did that make you? Do you remember that particular moment? How did that make you feel when they said, right, don't fuck this up? Like, did that put a tremendous amount more pressure on you?
No, not more pressure, but it's just like, holy shit, that's
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money considering that at that time I was probably getting some like 15K of salary.
Yeah. That's like more
20 times.
Yeah. 20 times more his purse.
Yeah, that's crazy. That would mean that I would if you take it this way, that means I would have to fight another 2 years in order to make this money.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like crazy money, and I do believe this is why a lot of Muay Thai fighters like to stay on the traditional fight route because they also sometimes get that chance of getting this amount of money, right?
Yeah, actually, sometimes if they get injections, like actually, sometimes gym owners won't touch it because it's the fighters.
Right. Yeah, I was about to touch on that. Yeah. So right now, about salaries, it's usually there's a percentage that's given back to the gym. Yeah. But usually on injections or bonuses, sometimes the gym owners won't touch on it or just give it to the fighters, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's what my gym does. I don't know anyone else, but that's what we do. Like if you get it from gamblers or you get a signing bonus, that's yours. That's not ours. That's yours.
Have you ever had that?
No, but like, wasn't good enough to get a bonus. It's like, no, actually at Max Muay Thai, most of my purse was from bonuses. That was really it. But we're not talking about like life-changing money.
By the way, going back to the 200K, I lost that fight.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get it.
Shit.
In case people are wondering.
That's why you kept on fighting then.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I kept on fighting after that. Kept on grinding after that. I didn't get it. Going back to last week, I know we're going back and forth, but talk about Savas, how he won against John Pranchai. I wanna give a little bit of a context about this fight though, because John Pranchai, former Russian champion, he was a massive favorite going into this fight. Savas, he was getting there slowly. He's been moving up the rankings and becoming better and better, but he never seemed, no disrespect, but he never seemed like he belonged to the top just yet. And when they announced this fight, Savas against John, it was like, man, this is gonna be a one-way fight for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that was one fight where that just like pretty much Savas just turned up and was just like to John, hey, my name's Michael Savas, and just just threw everything at him.
So
Poetry in
good.
motion. You know, I tell you what, I think Savas's greatest strength is his boxing.
Right.
His jab was on point. He hit John with a few body shots, a few hits to the body in round 2. And John didn't want any of that.
Yeah, you could see him wince, like,
Yeah.
you could feel it.
Yeah, he was in pain. I think it was since the second, third, I don't remember, but it was early on. Those body shots, we were like, whoo.
You could feel it.
But he mixed up with everything. Straight knees. His straight knees have always been good.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
always been like double jab, straight knee, double jab, straight knee. His kicks were good. Like every department, he was ahead of John. I think John, he just didn't really.
For
he
sure.
was
I think his
bewildered.
ability to throw whatever he wants without really you knowing it, it's like he's just standing and out of sudden a leg comes up, a knee comes up,
Yeah.
a hand or whatever. It's like his footwork, his balance is just so good. And you were mentioning just before this, he might be the new Damian Alamos.
Yeah, I think News in Cow.
Yeah.
I think, like, look at him. White boy, fucking up ties. I think it's his time now. And they're rising up the ranks pretty similarly.
Right.
Similarly as well. Yeah.
And he's really had to grind for that. He's spent a lot. He's spent a lot of time out here. He started at Petty Indy.
Yeah.
He's fought a lot of really good fighters as well. I mean, I think he beat Julio Lobo in a Toyota Marathon. So I mean, he's really done his time, and I think that's probably the best fight of his career. And like you touched on it earlier, his footwork, and I think that's what throws a lot of Thais off, especially when they go into one Lumpini. Like, his footwork was just so good and so on point.
Oh, the angles were amazing.
Yeah. Angles, footwork,
And
balance.
I think this is a good way for him to write his own story after leaving one. You see, like, some people leave one and there's no way to go after that. But he's writing his own new story now with the traditional Muay Thai and all these Channel 7 fights and everything. It's beautiful to see.
What do you think is going to be the path to his career from now on? Like, do you think he's actually gonna go back to one, or like, what do you think is gonna go?
Well, I mean, he's always wanted to win a stadium title. He's he really likes fighting at Raja. Hopefully.
I like being at Raja too.
Yeah.
I like the crowd. I like the lights, the vibe more than one. For me, one's just a bit too dark, I think.
It's a studio. I think it's completely different though, because we got one. It's a studio event for broadcast, but we got RWS. It's a live event, right?
Yeah.
You want to be in the stadium, so I think it's two complete different events.
Yeah. That's how it's similar.
But I mean, the way they produce it, the way it's set up is different. Obviously, you've got like the traditional vibe of Rajdamnern, and then you've got Lumpini Stadium, but the crowd at one Lumpini is so damn loud every week, and it's packed. It's packed to the rafters every week. The atmosphere is unbelievable, but it's just, you've got that. They're both two different things, like two different stadiums, two different scenarios. I mean, going back to Savas, looking at the rankings today, if he was to stay in let's say he was going to go RWS, I want to see him fight someone like Nabil, Lamna Moonlek, someone like that, try and go after the title at some point.
That's a good fight.
Lamna Moonlek would be such a good fight.
Lamna Moonlek and Savas, that's a good fight.
That would be a great
Is
fight.
he ready yet though?
Lamna Moonlek kind of ran out.
Do you believe he's ready for that?
I'm not saying that he's
I'm just throwing that. I
mean, some people probably could have said that he wasn't ready to beat John, and look what he did to John.
100%.
Look what he did to John. I mean, let's say if he could get back into one. I mean, there's lots of fights for him there at that weight.
Yeah.
What is that, flyweight, 135 pounds?
Yeah.
There's lots of fights at that weight.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about, Dead One Lek, Tagir Khalilov, Super Lek, Rod Tang.
But doesn't it seem like his path should be into the Muay Thai route, potentially RWS? I'm just throwing that. I don't know.
I mean, that would probably be the best way if he wants to get a stadium title.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And then maybe
best way
from
for him to
there,
go.
moving to one? How do you see that?
I guess so. I mean, well, he could go either way. I guess right now,
Or
probably the best way
he
to
could just
go.
make his bread doing big gloves Muay Thai and not go back to one. It's up to him. It's his own career, It's maybe up to him after what he experienced with one, and see if they can improve on booking him and everything better.
It seems like it's always a question though. Like, do you need to go to one after you've won certain stadium titles? Is this like the normal route that every fighter should take? Because obviously it seems like there's more money into one. Or would you feel like it would be okay for a fighter to not want to go to one and just stay into the Muay Thai stadium?
I say maybe it's up to you where your development is, where you're confident your development is, because I feel like if you're a more complete fighter and then you're in one where it's small gloves and everything can knock you out with the boxing as well. Right. I think it's up to your development where if you're ready for one or not.
So what you're saying right now is that you need to be a better complete fighter if you want to join one. So therefore, if you're not as good, you should stay into the traditional Muay Thai route.
Not really, but maybe the style as well. Like maybe you're Muay Mat. It's one's perfect for that because you're in small gloves. You're just banging out.
Right.
But for me, for Tananchai, I feel like it's more him more complete first, and then maybe seeing opportunities with promotions like one and different promotions overseas. Yeah.
I think it depends where you are in your career, but as any fighter, you should just go where the money is and like go where you can get the best payday because your career is so short. You know, it's.
But is it though? Like.
But it could be though, couldn't it? I mean, you could like look at Liam Nolan for example. Like he broke his hand in his second fight this year, and like fighting's one of his main sources of income. So if you can't fight, I mean, if you get a career,
and that's the issue with one, isn't it? Yeah. With the small gloves.
Yep.
I guess so. I mean, I think it can happen in any fight.
That's
really.
also true because RWS we get some massive injuries every week as well, and it's like, oh my god, some nasty stuff happening with the elbow. So I guess that the promotion doesn't really matter. You can get injured with the elbow or with a broken head in any promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always at Raja Knockout. There was one guy that I had fight on there. First round, took a really hard right hook, broke his jaw. And that was in big gloves. So I mean, come on, it happens.
It can happen.
It's not just about small gloves. Yeah, you got more of a chance of breaking your hand or getting like broken limbs in the small gloves because they're a lot smaller. But yeah, I mean, that's just the sport. That's the risk that these guys take. I think they should go where the money is or where they can get the best payday at the right time in their career.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? As like a gym owner, because you have like many fighters that are fighting in both.
Yeah, if they're ready, I think when they're ready, I would.
What do you mean? What does ready means though? Because what he's saying is that if you get the opportunity, you should go. But from your perspective, you can give the opportunity to any of your fighters to fight in any promotion.
For me, it's just more on complete how ready they are, like how ready are for them in the small gloves as well. Before Satan Pham made his debut on one, we kind of took him a while to adjust to the big gloves and small gloves, and didn't really be successful in one, and we moved him back to the big gloves, and then it's up to the fighter as well you can definitely send them to one, but you have to see how they react when they get hit with the big gloves and everything with all these shots.
Yeah,
like even Tananchai, we were gonna put him in one, but then I looked at RWS. The tournament was really good for his development last year, and look how well he developed last year into the champion.
Yeah.
So it's really good, having tournaments like this, and one just to evaluate. Evaluate. Yeah.
And if anything, he was the dark horse of the tournament.
Oh yes,
he was by far. He was like what we were talking about. Salah as well. Tananchai was the same. He was like, this kid is gonna get bashed in this tournament. There's no way he's making it to the end. Yeah. Well, guess what? Proved us all wrong.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Well, lastly, any upcoming fight that you guys want to touch on? I think we had a really good conversation today, but is there any fight you want to touch on
for this week in particular? One Lumpini 61, the feature fight, the sixth one, Ramadan Ondash, one of the three Ondash brothers, fighting Pichichai from PK Sanchai. I mean, Pichichai was a really good fighter back in the day in the stadiums. Beat Ging Sanlek. And then they've both fought once in one Lumpini. Pichichai beat Murdad Ganzedo, who's a good Iranian fighter, knocked him down several times in the fight, but beat him on points. And then Ramadan knocked out Yangdam from Chitmanong. Yep. And, great. Like that, there's three Ondash brothers in one. Ramadan is probably the best one out of the three. He's good. That's somebody to watch. And Pichichai's great too. Great veteran. Really good with his elbows. Ramadan's really good with his boxing. That will be a great fight. That's a real good barn burner.
This Saturday for me, probably Rungravi versus Bogdan Shermanov.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Yeah. Kickboxing debut in one. Rungravi's had about 18 kickboxing fights in China before. So let's see how we adjust to the one rule set for kickboxing, and hopefully another win for us, and then everyone go home happy.
But also on that show, and this for me, this is the biggest female fight in Muay Thai history. In Muay Thai history, for me anyway, in my opinion, Shamila versus Natalia Dishakova. That's such a good fight. It's a dangerous fight for Shamila because Dishakova can bang.
Right.
But it's also a dangerous fight for Dishakova because Shamila's the much better Muay Thai fighter. So it's a great matchup between these two, and it's for the title. Like Dishakova's on a really good winning streak at the moment. Shamila's not really been she has been tested, but she hasn't really had to fight somebody like Dishakova before.
It's like Tananchai fighting maybe Daniel, like same size, size, same type of build. So yeah, it'll be scary to watch. And then RWS this week, Tapaucao and Hercules. Yeah, that'll be a fun fight as well.
Hercules is going to be very interesting. Hercules, the champion. He's been criticized a lot for his fighting style, being not so aggressive, especially fighting in RWS. But it seems like he's found his way to win every single time. But this time he's going to face somebody like Tapaucao, who is in phenomenal shape, super extra aggressive. Seems like the kid never gets tired. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. I'm excited for that one.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was. Oh, you was going to say something?
I thought Hercules lost the first fight against Erdem.
Against Erdem, right?
But then he cleaned him up in the second.
I agree. I think the fight of Hercules versus Erdem was, both fights were very controversial. For it could have really gone either way. I think the first one was very controversial.
First one, I thought it went to Erdem. There's no way back up 2 rounds.
To be honest, I'm still to this day confused on how Hercules won that fight, but Erdem got to, get back, and then doesn't matter. But anyways, both were really good fights, and I guess we'll get to find out what is Hercules made of in this fight. Yeah, this week we're gonna find out against Tapaucao. Well, anyways, it was great to have you guys on. Really enjoyed talking with you guys. For everybody watching at home, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get a new episode weekly, so we'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
And that's it.